It's late March 2026, and while most retail investors still believe that the current volatility in the markets is only a brief thunderstorm, a perfect storm is brewing in the background that could shake the entire financial system to its foundations. We're looking at an oil price that has not only broken through but overshot the psychologically critical $100 mark. But this is only the beginning. We're in the middle of an energy crisis that makes everything we know from the 1970s look mild in comparison. While the mass media is still discussing short-term price jumps at gas stations, behind the scenes this is about far more than just expensive gasoline. It is about the existence of entire industries, the ability of world powers to finance themselves, and a systematic meltdown that could drag portfolios massively downward within days. Today I will show you why this oil shock is the spark for a new era of instability, which 3 warning signals you absolutely must have on your radar now, and how I am positioning myself strategically so that I do not come out of this crash as a loser. If you enjoy this in-depth analysis and do not want to miss a decisive move in these turbulent times, then make sure to subscribe to the channel now. Thanks for your support. Let's not waste any time. Let's get started. What many investors are completely underestimating right now is the complexity of this crisis. It's not about the 20% of global gas and oil supplies that flow through the Strait of Hormuz. That alone would already be a massive problem, but the implications go far deeper. We are talking about a fundamental threat to the global supply chains. Look at the facts. 70% of the global urea production, that is urea used as fertilizer, which is indispensable for agriculture, depends directly on the energy intensity of this region. If the lights go out there, we are no longer just talking about inflation, but potentially about a global food crisis. Then there's helium. The Middle East is a key producer of this noble gas, which is absolutely essential in the chip industry. No helium, no semiconductors. No semiconductors, no AI revolution. No iPhone, no modern economy. What we are seeing here is therefore an economic frontal event that could bring the entire high-tech world to a standstill. The ECB and the Fed are sitting in a brutal trap. On the one hand, the energy crisis is driving inflation upward. On the other hand, the real economy is collapsing under the weight of the costs. If the central banks continue raising interest rates now in order to contain inflation, they will choke off the last remnants of growth and drive corporate costs to astronomical heights. It is a classic dilemma with no painless way out. If this conflict is not de-escalated within the next 4 weeks, then God help us. According to Polymarket, the probability of that is currently only about 30 to 40%. That means, conversely, the risk of widespread fire is more real than ever before. But while everyone is staring at the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, the real-time bomb is sticking somewhere else entirely, in the bond markets. Many retail investors still consider government bonds as a safe haven, but this is where the greatest risk lies, which almost everyone is currently overlooking. We are entering this conflict with levels of government debts the likes of which we have never seen before in peacetime. Look at the raw numbers. The US is at over 120% of its economic output. France is also at over 110%. The United Kingdom at 100% and Japan at an insane 230% plus. These are critical threshold values at which the system becomes unstable. We are already seeing yields shoot upward worldwide. In Japan, we have the highest interest rate since 1997. In France, since 2009. When interest rates on government bonds rise, the debt burden for these countries becomes impossible to finance. Particularly critical, a euro deficit crisis that could lead to the breakup of our common currency. France is politically incapable of acting, and if new borrowing there marches towards 7 or 8% because the economy collapses, then the entire system will blow up in our faces. This is not doomsaying, this is mathematics. The refusal of politicians in Berlin, Paris and Brussels to face this reality is extremely dangerous. As an investor, you must understand. We are no longer talking about a normal correction, but about a systematic risk that calls the entire financial world into question. Let us now come to the question many of you have asked me. Why are gold and silver falling right now even though the world is burning? Intuitively, you would think that precious metals should be exploding now. In a real systematic crisis, liquidity comes first. Many major players are sitting on massive losses in their stock or bond positions. In order to offset these losses or meet margin calls, profits are realized where they still exist. And that is often the case with gold and silver. This triggers a wave of selling that is amplified even further by the stop-loss orders of the masses. That is painful, but is a purely technical reaction, not a fundamental one. In the long term, the substance of precious metals remains undisputed, as we also explained to you in yesterday's video. But in the short term, cash is king. The US dollar is currently the only true safe haven. Why? because despite the responsibility for the crisis, the US is in the best position. It is energy independent, largely self-sufficient in food supply, and it controls the key technologies. So parking liquidity not only in euros but also in dollars makes strategic sense, even if it sounds paradoxical. But be careful. As soon as the water calms, the rotation back into real assets will be massive. Right now we are hanging by the thin thread of geopolitics. If Donald Trump makes good on his ultimatum towards Iran, and Iran, as announced, responds with more advanced weapon systems, then the situation will turn grim. Israel's Iron Dome is already reaching its limits, and stockpiles of interceptor missiles throughout the West are extremely thin. We are playing here with a risk to the world economy, the likes of which we have not had in the last 50 years. What does that mean specifically for my portfolio now? First, I have a certain amount of liquidity, meaning a cash allocation, ready for a serious emergency. Second, I'm waiting for the signal of de-escalation. A good investor does not have to catch the absolute bottom. That is a matter of luck. The point is to get back in when geopolitical water calms down. If this happens in the next 4 weeks, buying opportunities will arise in quality companies, the likes of which we will not see again anytime soon. But be aware, the growth story we had before the Iran war is cracked for the time being. We will move upward on a diminished path. Personally, I'm now looking above all at companies with massive cash reserves and low debt. Firms like Alphabet or Microsoft are fortresses in times like these. Anyone who keeps a cool head now and does not panic sell everything or blindly chase every hype will emerge from 2026 as a winner. It is about fundamental substance, not quick gambling. If you want to learn more about such strategic setups, then subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Stay vigilant, prepare yourself, and do not let yourself be infected by the panic of the masses. Here you will learn everything important about silver and gold, and hear about the current situation surrounding Iran and the stocks I find interesting. Have fun, and until then, ciao.